Okay, so part of the problem that we have here is that most of my electric stuff, the charging granny cable for the 120 volts, the Tesla tap adapter, my 40-foot J1772 extension cord, all that stuff is in here, including a booster, a battery booster that I have in there, and also the tire mobility kit that I have in there. All the stuff is in here. Now, things like tire mobility kit, and you don't really use it all that much. It's only in the case of emergency, so I'm okay to leave that in here. But other things like my J1772 adapter, I want to get that out. So when I open up the trunk here, the problem is there's a lot of times I have stuff in here, right? So when I have a whole bunch of stuff in here, how do I get it out? So I get it out this way. So I have to open this little lid right here, and then in here I have, the tire mobility kit right here from it's on Kias and Hyundais. This is my Tesla tap. So right at the other end here is a Tesla adapter, a Tesla plug, and on this one is a J1772, which allows me to use a Tesla destination chargers. They're in here, and the blue one down here. This is my granny cable. This is the one for the 120 volts, American style. Forget exactly what's the nomenclature for this particular plug type, but the North American standard for 120 volts, and then that goes to the other end here. This big blue cable that comes with almost all. Actually, it comes with all the Hyundai Ioniqs. If you don't have one in yours, contact your dealership because this is actually supposed to be included. And what we don't see here, which was pretty clever, which is right down there, that is my 40-foot J1772 extension cord. This one right here. You can see it's pretty big. There's the plug adapter right there. Yes, there's a padlock to keep it locked down so nobody steals it. But I managed to squeeze it in there if I do a loop. I don't like taking that one out all that much because it's very difficult to get it back in there. And you can see the problems I got now. I got a problem. I'm struggling with this netting here just to get the cover back on. You get it lined up. It's a real pain. It's a real pain. So I want to move that to the front. Okay? How am I going to do that? Unfortunately for us, the Ioniq Electric does not come with a frunk. This is something that Hyundai just didn't do compared to like Teslas. So what we have is we have a lot of open space right here. We have some space right here, and I have some space back here. Now on the cold climate package, they have a heat pump, and I believe the heat pump is installed right here behind this little 12-volt battery right there. On my version, I could put some kind of a space there, or even some space right here. So I could try to fit some of these devices in front, so that way I don't have to go into the trunk to get some of the more convenient devices that I get out all the time. Or, this little area right here, if I could put something right here. So what do I do now, right? I gotta find a way to get that stuff out there in here. Oh, I think I just heard the doorbell. Let's go check it out. Well, this just arrived in the front, so I was just delivered this today. Just as I'm working on the car, this is supposed to be a frunk. So this is a little piece that I can put inside to make a kind of a frunk. It's step one in a way to do a multi-compartment frunk. Now, I was going to build one of these myself, but these guys in Ireland, they were able to build these for a whole bunch of electric cars, and Nissans and Kias and Hyundais. Like this one is the first one for the 28 kilowatt hour Ioniq Electric. They also have it for the Kona Electric and some other cars. Check the links below. You'll see them on the website. So let's just open her up and see what we. All right, so there it is. All right, so there it is. This is our new frunk that we just got from Europe, just from Ireland. It has a kind of a rubber bottom here. This is not great. There's a rubber strip here that looks like we put on the edges somewhere. And the device. And then they got me a little note here. Please do not tighten any screws until all four are in place. So They don't want me to tighten these things down until all four are in place. Whatever that means. Doesn't look like this thing came with any instructions though. Let's just open her up. Yeah, so there doesn't seem to be any instructions. It looks like it's fabricated from, this looks like some kind of a fiberglass. Fiberglass with some heat resistance plastic or something like that. I think this rubber strip here goes on the front. This will go here on the front. So these strips, I imagine, will form a seal with the hood, or bonnet, as we call it in Europe. Here's our hex. So we have our hex key, we have our 4 bolts. Clean it up a little bit. Rubber mat, seal joint, and the actual tray itself. So, gonna need that. Let's get to work. Okay, so it looks like it's gonna be pretty straightforward to do this. This tray here is actually going to replace the cover on top of the little engine here. Or I think that's the controller or the charging module, whatever, the electronics that are here. So the first thing to do is to pull this up. And it's very simple because it's just like little rubber clamps. So you just kind of pull up on it like that and it pops up. Okay, the next thing we got to do is we got to remove these things. To do that, we're going to need a socket. So we have our socket here. So we're going to use, this one here I'm using is a 10 millimeter. Everything's 10 millimeter on a car, right? So let's do that. And that way we can pop off the factory clamps. These are kind of. By the way, I found this little cap here that holds the little piece of trim at the top. Somehow it popped out. I'm not sure why, but I'm just going to press it back in there. That was odd. Anyway, so these are the kind of bolts, these little rounded balls that go around that hold the engine cover on. So right there, I take all 4 of these and get rid of them. Now the installation said don't tighten them all until they're actually in place. Okay, let's do that. So what we need to do is we will need to undo this. Okay, so this somehow goes in there. It's strange, when you undo it, the little screw comes out. So this is just some kind of a mount. So we get rid of the screws on the top, pop those out like this, and then we'll screw these. See what it's like? So it's like, looks like a piece of rubber and it has a screw tip and it's threaded on the inside for the other screw. So we got our 4 rubber mounts installed, and now we're going to put the tray on top and we're going to screw it in. Okay, I got one hole lined up. I got 2 holes lined up. Okay, I got them all lined up now, more or less. So we'll do some minor adjustments to get everything lined up properly. There's one little defect here is it is putting pressure against this AC line right here on the corner. So there's a little bit of a problem right there with this. So I am going to follow the instructions. The instructions said do not tighten until all in place. So I'm going to make them all in place. Okay, now I'm going diagonals. It's always a good idea to go diagonals. You can put all that in the bottom of the tray right here, that's what it's for. These things are not exactly lined up. This is not going to be an easy install. These things don't line up properly. This one out back here, this one is definitely not lined up. I can tell just by looking at it, the hole does not line up. What I'm doing is I'm putting tension here. To pull it downwards in order to line it up. But then, again, this is in the way here. Okay, the bolt is in. And this one's definitely off-centered. This one I can actually see what I'm doing here. Oh, it is completely off-center. This is nowhere close to being aligned. Well, this is going to require machining. So, I'm going to use a drill bit. I'm trying to machine a little bit. Okay, so it's in. The hole was a bit off on this one. So, let's try to screw it in. Again, cross pattern. I like to do cross pattern. Don't over tighten. Never over tighten your bolts. Tighten until like it doesn't wiggle, but don't go too crazy on the bolt. You don't want to break the thread, because these things are aluminum and they're going to be a pain in the butt to machine. And this one here. Okay. So it's tight enough. I think we did a pretty good job here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little rubber strip on the front. So I'm assuming this goes right here along the front edge to, make some kind of a seal with the top, with the hood itself. So let's try to get that in there, however it's supposed to get in. It looks like it's been abused. Oh, it's flexible. It's like it must be some kind of a metal core that has a bit of flexibility. I'm going to go from this end, which is a little bit easier. I'm going to start from this end. Yeah, and then just push it in along, all the way along to the end here. There you go. So that's supposed to make us some kind of a seal. And last is the rubber mat. Last is the rubber mat right here. This is supposed to make it a little bit cleaner. Now, like I said, there is a big problem here, and this is right here. This is pushing up against that cap. So this is a filler bleed cap for the air conditioner system, and this is pushing right up against it. So this is actually, we got a bit of a problem here. This probably needs to be remachined right here. Okay. Other than that, it's going to wobble a bit. It's going to make some noise. I know that. Now I'm going to try a test fitting. So I'm just going to lower the hood very slowly and see if it actually fits and if it actually forms a seal. So let's be very observant here. Okay, I think it's okay. Let's try it. Yeah, it's good. That looks pretty good. Now let's see what we can actually do with this. Okay, so what we have here is we have our 40-foot J long extension cable. We have our granny charger, which we're probably going to put in this case, turbo mobility kit, a battery booster, and a Tesla tap. So let's start with the biggest one, which is that one, because that's the one I'm most interested in getting in there. Let's bring her up and see what we can do. So probably want to keep this in here in the front, so long as, yeah. Okay, looks like it's going to fit no problem. So what I'm going to do now is I think that this will fit down the middle. Yeah, it does. So we're going to reuse that. And I'm going to put a good old granny charger back into its original case. This is the original case it came from, the original carrier. It says Hyundai on it, EV and so on. So we'll put our granny charger back in here. But I'm more concerned about the height, but we'll take a look. We'll do a test fitting by closing the hood. And if it doesn't fit, then we'll take it back out and just put it in the tray, because it looks like it's a little bit high. Let's find out exactly how that works. Okay, now we got the two main components that I really need. Let's try it out. Let's see if the hood closes properly. And no, it does not. Nope. We cannot use that. What we're going to do, we're going to take it out of the case. This and just put it in here like that. Let's try that. It works. Next, our Tesla tap adapter. Okay, Teslas. So our Tesla tap adapter could fit right in here somehow. Or should I put this at the back? I think I should put this at the back. because it's thicker. Somehow. It's getting pretty tight in here. I gotta admit, it's getting pretty tight. Let's try to find out if that one works. It does. It does fit. Now, what else? We can't get the tire mobility kit. This, forget about it. This, forget about it. But I'm wondering if I can get, this is a battery booster. Little electronic battery booster. I can probably get this in there, no problem, but I want to see if I can get the whole case in there. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to slide it into that little slot right there. And nope, it will not fit in there. See? Does not fit. But if we take it out, this. So we take the battery booster, no problem. Now as for the cables themselves, two simple cables like this, right there on the top, no problem. Forget about the case. But this is always good to have, because the common problem with the Ioniq Electric is this 12-volt battery. It often goes flat. And even though this recharges from the main battery, sometimes, it's never happened to me by the way, but on some other people it just happens that they'll come and this is flat. So if this is flat, it will not activate the electronics, which are right here underneath. And if it doesn't activate the electronics, the problem that you will get is that you can't even turn on the main battery and get the charge out of the main battery to charge up this one. Okay? So one way to do that is you use the booster like this. So you just kind of boost it just to enable it. Then you go inside, power it on, and the voltage transfer from here to there should be enough to activate the electronics. Once the electronics are activated, then it's actually going to use the main battery to charge up the 12-volt battery, and then you're safe to go. So a good thing to have is probably put that there, although this is really for emergency purposes, which means that you can still keep it in the trunk underneath the floor, because you're only really going to use this in an emergency. But I like to have it up here. It's more convenient because if you are working on, if you need to boost up this 12-volt battery, you have it right there. It's available right here. There's the negative terminal, and the positive terminal is right here underneath the cap right there. You got your positive terminal. So you just go there, boost it directly, transfer some volts inside just to get the thing started. Now, this, for me, is satisfactory. This is what I want. This is what I like. So let's find out if everything works. We're going to close the hood, and we're going to take it off for a spin. We're going to turn off all the music, all the distractions, and listen for any noises. There's probably going to be some rattling underneath the hood. First of all, let's make sure that everything works, again, by closing our hood. I feel a little tension, but that's normal. So let's just drop it. Oh, nice sound. Okay, next shot is, let's go take a test drive. Okay, so now it's time for a test drive with the new Frunk installed. Frunk is installed and it's full of my chargers, even the battery booster, Tesla tap adapter, 40-foot long J1772J long adapter it's called, the granny charger for the 120 volts, all that stuff is there. But I had to take them all out of the cases. Installing the screw was a little bit difficult, and there's some little bit of a rubbing against an AC component, which I'm a little bit concerned about. Other than that, let's take it out and let's listen. Okay, so now we're going to listen to see if we hear any clanging noise further. I'm going to drive around on this bumpy road out here, and we'll listen for it. Radio's off, AC's off. It's freaking hot outside, so I won't do this for very long because we're just listening for the noise. Okay, here's the bumps. No noise. Get some bumps here. Okay, here comes the bigger bumps. Let's try to get some big bumps. It's pretty bumpy here. Bumpy here. Nothing. No noises from the front. It is actually fairly quiet. I'm very impressed. This is good.